Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. It's Friday night, which means we are going to be having a great old time as we get ready for a night of monster talk of the Appalachians. Wayne Totherow is here tonight to take it all in with us, so we're going to have a great time with him coming up here momentarily. We're also going to love having all of you here as well, including Race Fan in the gold medal position, Eternity Eternal in the silver, Little Cam taking home the bronze tonight. Robert Lamoth, how you doing? Kitty Caddywhack, Brown Dwarf. Lulu Bell is here. Lulu Bell will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Let us continue on with our roll call here. Road Flare, Scott Taylor, nice to have you both here. Richard Minnick, thank you for coming on in. Troy in Tennessee, welcome to SOR Chat. We greatly appreciate you tuning us in. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Pam Harris, how you doing? Deanna Ann, how's it going, beautiful? As we continue on with our roll call, T-Bone, my man. Mel WD-40 is here, lubing us up for tonight's show. Because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. You don't want that rigidness. Never feels good when it's rigid. Smooth, lubed, that's a good radio show right there. Thank you, Mel, for taking care of that. Let's continue on with our roll call. Mama Catherine. I love you, my dear. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful evening. JSCO, how you doing? Little Timmy James, what's going on? Frankie, how's it going? Gory Tiger. And who's next on our list? Super Crazy in the studio. Number 42 in your program, starting at center ice tonight from Stockholm, Sweden. Lars Jansson. Jeff Steve Garvey is here. He'll hit a home run for you. So we continue on with our roll call. Deborah Rooney, nice to see you. Hi there, Lex Diaz. You're early. Wow. Digger Dog, thanks for coming on in. And Richard Minnick, thank you for kicking off the super chat tonight. We really do appreciate you kicking things off. It's a great way to support our show on a nightly basis. So thank you, Richard. Very much appreciate it. All right, let's continue on with our roll call. Hold on, let me just write this down. And who's next? Resonate. Thanks for coming on in. Hi there, Sierra. Erico, good to see you. On A. Hi, on A. Hi, on A. On A. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right, continuing on. Polly Rotterman, nice to have you here. Hi there, Lacey Blue. It's been a while. Good to have you back. So we continue on with roll call. Oh, hell with it. The Lacey Blue will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Scott's Life, Laura Lobbs, thank you for joining us. And Deborah Rooney, thank you. Yes, Dave the Stud Muffin. Dave the Stud Muffin, yes, that is my name. All right, moving on. I love you, Deborah Rooney. All right, who else is next? Major Lee, good morning to you. And who is here on our list? Mr. Cowley, welcome back to the show. Oh, Mr. Cowley loves his Spaced Out Radio. Susan Alloway, nice to see you. Fapperoni, looking as weirdo as ever. Lisa Smith, good to see you. Scott's Life again. And Ane. Phineas over on X, nice to see you, buddy. And Oob to Joe's Main, you've got aliens. Sleepy Howl, nice to see you. And yeah, we're caught up so far. Let's get the radio side going. Excuse me. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, my name is Dave Scott. We're going to be talking with Wayne Totherow, all sorts of monsters and magic and paranormal, supernatural stuff coming up right here momentarily. We are in roll call right now. Jay Truth Seeker, good to have you here. Fap wears women's high heels. Yes, he does. He likes to. He likes a good 4-inch stiletto. That's what he's told me. I don't know. That's Fap. Super Chat is open. And of course, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out and have a good time with us. Hi, Carol. How are you? Do me a favor, everybody. Throw those horns up. Let's rock. Mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world. This, my friend, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair at SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out the Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Jive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Jive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a power show of awesomeness when it comes to cryptids and monsters tonight. Wayne Totherow is going to join us here momentarily to talk about everything that is weird and strange. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller is going to be here with another creepy story. Follow that up, Jackie Harmon comes in for the Cryptid Report. Wayne Totherow is the founder and president of Manimal Research. Love that name, by the way. Manimal Research. Not only does he have a big game beard going on, he's a small Sasquatch research group out of southeastern Tennessee. Wayne has led an investigating team on many field investigations in southeastern Tennessee, as well as North Georgia and western North Carolina, collecting evidence along the way. He has also been the host of a live YouTube broadcast since February 2020, where he has interviewed many eyewitnesses and fellow researchers alike. Wayne has a solid reputation within the Bigfoot and cryptid community and is known for his respectful approach and willingness to consider all things inside the box and out. I like this guy already. You can just tell he's nice. You can tell. Why? Well, Radioland, you can't see it, but I can see it because we're on video here. When you have a good, solid beard like Wayne does, you know it's going to be a good show. So let's bring him on. Wayne Totherow, welcome to SOR for the first time. How you doing, my man?
Dave, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me, buddy. I appreciate it.
Oh, man, I'm looking forward to this because you know what? It's always a good night when you get to talk monsters. It really is. And I'm going to hit you off right off the bat. Do you have business cards that say Wayne Totherow, Monster Hunter? Because I want.
I do not. Maybe I should have some of those printed up. I think I might.
How did this whole journey begin for you?
You know what, Dave? My whole life, I've always been interested in the weird and the spooky, creepy, especially cryptids. You know, when I was younger, you know, growing up in the 80s, 90s, we didn't have the internet didn't have streaming platforms where you can just go and look anything up. We had the library at school that we got to go to a couple days a week and check out a book or two and take it home, read it, and then bring it back. Anytime I found something on cryptids, I was there for it. Chupacabra, there was no Dogman talk back then, but Chupacabra, Loch Ness monster, and the king of the woods, Bigfoot. Bigfoot, Sasquatch has always held a special place for me. But again, we took what we had back then, and our choices were very, very limited. You get older, life takes over, get married, have kids, all that good stuff, and your interests take a back seat. We all know what that's like. So 2019, I was working at a place that was about an hour away from my home. So I had an hour commute, hour there, hour back. My car broke down. I had to put it in the shop. So I had to borrow a truck from my dad. I brought his spare truck. And my luck, as you'd have it, the radio goes out the second day I have his truck. And what am I going to do for 2 hours of my day in this truck with nothing to listen to? That's when I discovered podcasts. I had heard of them. I had never listened to them. I was a music guy. That's all I ever listened to. So when I was forced to make the change, I started looking for stuff that I was interested in. I found this podcast called Monsters Among Us, and I fell in love with it. I started binging the heck out of it. Derek Hayes is still one of my favorites. Derek Hayes does an amazing job. But I kept finding myself wishing everybody would just shut up and get back to the Bigfoot. I couldn't wait till the next Bigfoot story. So that got me thinking, I wonder if there's a podcast dedicated only to Sasquatch. Lo and behold, there was. I found it. I think everyone knows the one I'm talking about, Sasquatch Chronicles. Found it, started binging the heck out of it, and I was in love. That was when I found out that people actually go out in the woods looking for these things. Crazy people spend their money, spend their time away from their families to go and look for these things. I had always thought Bigfoot was up in your area, Dave, and out in the Pacific Northwest. I'm in Tennessee. I had no idea they were in this area. I'm listening to Sasquatch Chronicles one day, and this gentleman comes on, and he shares this experience. He says that he lives in a small town about 45 minutes north of Chattanooga, Tennessee. I thought, I live in a small town about 45 minutes north of Chattanooga, Tennessee. He starts talking about this little state park destination that it's not very well known. But the more he's talking about it, I'm like, man, I've been there. I know exactly where he's talking about. And he talks about having an experience there in my hometown, in my county. And I was just floored. I was blown away by that. So I'm looking at all these different Bigfoot groups, BFRO, Wood Ape Conservancy, all these established groups. And one thing I saw that I didn't care much for was all of the negativity, the bashing, the name calling, all of that stuff. I'm not that guy. I never have been. It's like everybody's ego was in the way. Everybody wants to be that guy, that first one to find this thing. And that's great. I mean, you got something to strive for. That's awesome. But don't put others down on the way. I'm not about that. So I actually looked into joining some of them, but I decided to start my own. And the first thing I did, Dave, and people usually laugh when they hear this, I put an ad out on Craigslist. I said, I'm looking for Bigfoot. Do you have any stories? Or do you want to go out and help me find him? Just something like that. And man, I was shocked at the response that I got. I was overwhelmed by people texting me and emailing me, not only just to say, yeah, I want to go out and look, but a lot of them just wanted to share their experience. They didn't have anywhere, and they were tired of being ridiculed. So I talked to a lot of people that just wanted to tell me what they had seen. So that's how Manimal was born. I know that
Oh,
that's a really long answer to a short question, but I decided to go out on my own. And some of the people that I met on Craigslist, some of my friends, Manimal was born. And 5 years now, we're going stronger than ever.
let me tell you something. I really respect that. I really do, because I did the
Thank you.
exact same thing. The difference between you and me is that when I did put Spaced Out Radio together back 10 years ago, we're coming up 10 years doing this, man, on the 30th of this month. And I can tell you, I had a bunch of my own experiences, and I have a radio background, but like you, I'd never heard of a podcast. When I quit radio in 2007, I left radio behind. Like I quit right on the beginning of this whole podcast movement. And I didn't know anything about it. Didn't know there was online radio. Didn't know anything when I started. But I did it kind of the same way you did, where I ended up starting it because I couldn't find the answers that I was looking for to my own experiences. And the more I thought about it, the more I started to form what I wanted SOR to be, which was a lot like back in the day, that spookiness radio of Art Bell,
Mm-hmm.
who owned the night. He owned the night. You know, I figured there has to be people like me, just like you, who have these incredible encounters and stories, but they're either A, too afraid to say it, B, too afraid to be ridiculed and laughed at, and C, they're scared because they don't know what they saw. And you provided an outlet for that. I think that is awesome, my man. Good job on that.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And Dave, I got to say, man, you said you've worked in radio, all these years. You have the perfect voice. You have a radio voice, man.
I got the perfect face for radio too.
I was going to leave that out, but your voice is awesome, dude.
You know what? It's funny because here's the funny part is a guest we just had on a few nights ago. He was actually the dean of broadcasting when I went to broadcasting school. And he wrote a book on this lost treasure here in British Columbia. And Brian Atkinson is his name. And it's funny because the critics and the weirdos in these groups behind the scenes on social media, they're always looking for those aha caught you moments that we all have to deal with when we go public as a host. Well, over the last number of years, I've actually had people come out and say, you've never been a journalist. You only say that for clickbait and all of this stuff. And you never worked in radio. I doubt you worked in radio. And here's my dean of broadcasting has been one of my guests. I think that's kind of funny and ironic at the same time. But thank you for the compliment. I really do appreciate that. You yourself, you stated that you've always kind of believed in Bigfoot. You've believed in these monsters. You've always wanted to believe in what was going on with the weird and strange. Have you ever had an encounter?
I have. And they have come since, well, Dave, I shouldn't say they've all come as a result of starting Manimal research, because one thing that's cool about doing this is all those years, from becoming an adult up until my passion was reignited, things happen and you're not as familiar with the creepy things. And as I become familiar with it, I look back and I think about things that I've experienced, like in the woods hunting and stuff. And I think, could that have possibly been something? So I possibly could have had experiences back then, but more so since I started Manimal. And I want to go back to talking about this little area that the gentleman talked about, 45 minutes north of Chattanooga. That was one of the first places I ever went. I had this buddy of mine that I worked with, and he was also interested. So we got together and we went to that place. Like I said, I had been there a couple of times, just hiking with the family, and had no idea anything like that was going on. There's this little old man. I don't know if he's a ranger or what his job really is, but he oversees that park, that area, and that's his job. That's all he does is keeps an eye on the place, cleans up, answers questions, stuff like that, and walks the trails. So we get there, me and my buddy get there, and I talked to him because there was primitive camping there, and we were talking about doing some primitive camping. The closest campsite is like 2 miles in. So this is one of those things. This isn't a campsite where you pull up, park next to your campsite, unload, you got the cooler and all that stuff. No, this is you hike in with as little stuff as you can. And so I was interested in that. So I wanted to talk to him. Also wanted to fill him out, just to see what it was in the area. So one of the things I asked him was, what do we need to look out for? And he's telling me, he says, well, you're going to want to tie your food up in a tree so the critters don't get it. And I see my opportunity. Okay, it's now or never. I say, okay, what critters are we talking about? And he says, well, raccoons, deer. We do have occasional bear in the area, stuff like that. And I said, what about much taller critters? Say critters that walk on 2 legs with long brown hair, anything like that. And his eyes got about that big around. And he looked at me, and Dave, I swear, he says, yes, they're in here, and I've seen them. I about lost it when he said that. I was shocked. I said, man, you got to tell me. You got to tell me. He's like, well, you didn't hear this from me. And if you say you did, I'll deny it. All that stuff. Can't talk about it. But he told me he'd been screamed at several times. He pointed across the river and up this ridge. He said, I watched him run up that ridge like it was nothing. I've had rocks thrown at me. I've been screamed at, but that's the only time I've seen one. They don't bother me other than the, occasional rock and screaming and stuff. I was floored. I was hooked. If I wasn't hooked before, I was hooked then. That was amazing to me.
It's amazing how one story can change your entire direction
Right.
of what you are doing. And when you heard I'm going to use the word fear in that person's voice, that they were said basically, we're going to deny, if you ever bring this up, I'm denying everything and you're going to look like an idiot, basically. Yeah. But it really shows the emotion that a lot of people have when they see something that isn't supposed to exist. I mean, for you, it obviously piqued your curiosity, made you a little bit more driven, but you've talked to enough experiencers who've seen things that shouldn't be on our planet, like Bigfoot, like Dogman, like ghosts and whatever else. What do you think that fear comes from?
That's a great question. Is it something that was just ingrained in us from years? I mean, from centuries ago? I don't know. I have no idea. It's that fear of the unknown, I guess, because you made a good point, Dave. You talk to some people, and at this point now, I've been interviewing people since about 2020. I could say I'm probably around 1,000 people now that I've talked to, and you've got that fine line. It seems like you either get people that experienced a Bigfoot or a Dogman or something like that, and it completely drives them away from recreational activity, from being in the woods, hunting, fishing, hiking. They never go in the woods again. They sell their guns and all this stuff. Or you get the people like me that it drives them. They want to see it again. And that's kind of the direction that I took it. But it wasn't, it seems like everyone that I've talked to, most people that I've talked to, they started doing this because they had an experience. I started doing it because I was curious. I don't know if that answers your question or not.
No, I think it answers it's a great answer for what we are looking at, because everybody really, really gets a different value or shock value of everything that is going on, around them. And I think that it's absolutely incredible when you hear somebody looking you deep in the eyes and they're telling you, I don't want to go back in the woods.
Yeah.
I'm scared to go back in the woods. Like what I saw was not right. And when you capture that emotion from someone, you know they're being real. And,
Yeah.
I like to think that the skeptics out there who think that we're dealing with a bear, a moose, a wolf, or whatever it may be, these armchair people who, their idea of going to a forest is the local park where kids play hide and seek between the trees.
Yeah.
They've never been out of their suburban jungle looking and actually researching. The only mountains they've seen is out their window.
Right.
And they don't understand the absolute terror and horror that goes through one's body when you have a close encounter with something that is just there, something that you've only seen or heard about in mythical lore. And I guess I look at it, I'm curious the way you look at it too. There are hundreds of thousands of people across North America, maybe even millions, who have had these encounters. Imagine the stories we haven't heard, man.
Yeah. That's all. Yeah, I talk about that all the time, Dave. The people that are scared of being labeled a nut that won't come out and talk about it. And also, well, before I go any further, I want to say hello to my buddy Jessica Jones, the cryptid huntress out there.
Oh, yes.
I know you know Jessica. She was one of the speakers at my event this year, the East Tennessee Squatch Out. Jessica's an awesome lady. I love her. She's been on my show a couple times. So hey, Jessica.
She is one of the most talented people in the cryptid world, in my opinion.
I agree.
And I still miss her every day that she's not part of SOR. But she has an amazing podcast and YouTube channel, and I encourage every one of our listeners in Radio Land to look up the Cryptid Huntress. I gave her that nickname, by the way. I am taking credit for one thing.
Did you really?
I gave her the nickname, the Cryptid Huntress.
Wow.
I did. Yeah.
Awesome.
Jessica, I know you're listening. I will pat myself on the back for that one. I own that one.
Yeah.
The rest of you the other every other piece of success.
When you guys reached out to me to ask me to come on, the first thing I did was accept, obviously. But the second thing I did was I hollered at Jessica and told her and asked her about you, Dave, and she had nothing but amazing things to say about you, and she loved her time here. She interviewed me on her show that she did with y'all.
Yes.
Yeah, she's an awesome lady.
Amazing. Nothing but love for Jess, and cannot wait to hang out with her again. That's for sure.
Yeah, but kind of before we got sidetracked talking about how awesome the Cryptid Huntress is, we were talking about people just not wanting to come forward out of fear. Dave, one of the things that absolutely drives me crazy, and some of the people that are familiar with me know that I co-host a podcast with Mr. Brian King Sharp of Sasquatch Odyssey called That Bigfoot Podcast. It is very much an adult Bigfoot podcast. We don't interview people. It's a couple of guys that give their opinions. We hold people accountable in the subject, the hoaxers, the silly, crazy people out there. We try to hold people accountable. And one of the things that I can't stand as a researcher, as a podcaster, as a person, is these silly pictures that we see on social media. I know you've seen them. Anyone with a Bigfoot or with a Facebook account has seen that follows Bigfoot on Facebook has seen these pareidolia type pictures.
Oh, dude,
we call them red circle squatches.
Let's talk about the pixel squatches when we come back on Spaced Out Radio. Wayne Totherow is our guest tonight. He is a cryptid researcher. He is an investigator, paranormal researcher. This guy does it all, and he loves people's experiences along the way. We're going to get more into the cryptid world with with Wayne Totherow when we return on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned, everybody. We will be right back. All right. There we go.
Yeah, I see Richard Minnick's comment. We don't want to see any damn red circles in your photos. I'm telling you, man.
Just hold that thought until we get back. Just hold that thought. Oh, pisses me off too. It does.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something funny. You'll see, as a Bigfoot researcher, you'll see the humor in this. I had the absolute pleasure to. Here's a guy you need to get on your show. His name is Sheldon Cusance. He's a First Nations Bigfoot researcher here in BC. And anyways, I had the absolute pleasure in September of speaking at his Sasquatch conference. And here's the funny part. The event happened on First Nations land. It was most of the booths that were set up inside, for selling trinkets and everything. Most of them were all First Nations people. And day one of speakers is all science people literally telling them that the woo is garbage, stay away from it. All of these stories of Bigfoot vanishing into thin air and all of this, like they're literally doing this, okay, right in front of all these First Nations people. And I'm like, wow, man, like you have elders here. And these guys, a couple of them, not Dr. Jeff Meldrum. He was amazing listening to him speak. But the other couple guys, they were just like, I don't even know the one guy's name. They were just like, get rid of the woo. We need to get rid of that crap. It doesn't exist. Okay, so you're allegedly doing this for scientific research. Well, you just broke science's rule right there, that opinion means nothing when it comes to research. Opinion isn't fact. So the next morning, I'm the first speaker on Sunday morning. And through my entire presentation, man, I'm giving shot after shot, just politely, like totally politely, unlike other people out there, we don't know what this is. Yeah. We have no confirmation. We have no body. We have nothing outside of a few hair samples, a few pictures, one quality movie in the Patterson-Gimlin film, and a bunch of footprints and eyewitness testimony. We have nothing else. So to sit here, and I'm sitting here, and I could see the one guy, man. He was just he was the only guest there that refused to come up to me and talk to me. Because usually, I mean, you run your own event. All the speakers usually they gather, man. You go for a beer, you go for dinner, you do whatever it is, right? And this one guy, he must have realized that I was talking about him. He would not speak to me the entire event. It was awesome.
Yeah, I think that's hilarious, man. I mean, how arrogant do you have to be to come out there and state something in this field as fact? We have no proof. We don't know that these things exist. I've had experiences. Yes, I believe I've seen one time. I know that there's something out there, but we don't know what it is. We don't know how they act. And I was speaking. I was at the Ozark Mountain Conference in Missouri. I was a speaker there. And there were these guys up there before me and Brian went on, and they were talking about the day watchers and all this stuff. And that's interesting. People believe that they do have day watchers, but how do you know? How do you know? Have you witnessed a Sasquatch watching out for the rest of the clan sleeping. Have you actually seen that? This one guy talks about a 20-inch track from the alpha female. How the hell do you know? Did you
Right?
see the alpha female leave that print?
See, we're going to come back here in about 20 seconds. I'm not a researcher. Okay. I'm the first one to tell you, man, I am not a researcher. When I go in there, I don't bring cameras. I don't bring, I got my phone. That is it. And like I've told even my UFO guy, Tim, who's in the chat room, I bring him out there and we're going back there tomorrow night. I don't bring anything. It's just not worth it. Here we go. Thank you to Richard ×2 and T-Bone for the super chats. Here we go. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway. We're talking monsters and legends from the Appalachians. Wayne Cotherow is our guest. We'll bring him back here momentarily. But first, I want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out free archives at YouTube or on any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here's Wayne Cotherow, researcher out of Tennessee. This guy does it all. Podcasts, searches for Bigfoot, searches for ghosts, and takes care of a very healthy beard, which is very important in Spaced Out Radio land. Wayne, good to have you here, my man.
Yeah, it's great. I'm having a blast, Dave.
Right before the break, we were talking about these pixelated pictures that everybody zooms in on so close, saying, can't you see it? Can't you see the Sasquatch right there? And no, all I see is squares in leaves and trees.
Because, Dave, that's all that's there. People, I don't know what it is. One of my best friends in the world is Dr. John Baranchuk. He is a psychologist. He's retired. He had to medically retire. He's battling cancer. I love you, buddy. But he's one of my best friends, and he's a member of Manimal Research. And that's kind of getting off topic a little bit here. But that's another one of the reasons that I love this community so much. Bigfoot is the great equalizer. You know, you got this man with all these advanced degrees. He's the smartest man I've ever met. I mean, and it's probably not even close. And then you got me. I barely graduated high school. I got a diploma. That's it. I should not be as good of friends as I am with Dr. John Baranchuk. I love him like a brother. And it's all because of Bigfoot, this big hairy thing running around in the woods that we can't catch up with, that we don't know hardly anything about. So we shouldn't be friends at all. But because of Bigfoot, we are. And I've talked to him about, is there some kind of mental illness at play with these people that share these pictures? And it's always the same people. They have a new picture every day, Dave. I mean, maybe once, twice a year, if you're possibly seeing something, maybe. But it's every day, 3-4 times a week. These people are having new experiences, and they share these pictures of nothing. And it's always look at the smile. Look at his eyes. You see the eyes here, and then they have to draw the circle around it. They have to use a pen to draw the eyes and all this stuff. And you always have people in the comments, 4, 5, 6 people. Wow, great job. Great picture. Yeah, I can see him. Did you see the other one over there? There's 3 in this picture. I've shared pictures before, and people comment back on my pictures and say, well, too bad you didn't see that 10-footer standing behind you over there. I'm like, come on.
It's the same with the Patterson Gimlin film, where people are now pulling Bigfoots out of the trees and rocks.
Yep.
Okay, you see the baby over there, and there's a guy in the trees over there. No, because they're not.
their response, Dave, always is, well, you're just not ready to see them yet. You don't know how to see them. Dude, I was given the gift of vision at birth, okay? I opened my eyes, saw the doctor, saw my daddy, saw my mama. I was able to see. What else do I have to do? I mean, am I not enlightened enough? Is my heart not good enough that these Bigfoot don't want me to see them? I don't get it, man.
It just doesn't make sense.
No.
I think, though, that I don't think that people are doing it to make a mockery or everything, but I think they just believe so badly that, it's like these people out there who think everything is a conspiracy. They've been so
Yeah.
brainwashed because of their love of the topic and their love and their passion for the research that goes in, because maybe they don't believe in 9/11, or they don't believe in certain things being injected into your body, or whatever it may be. They just believe nothing. They don't believe the media. They don't believe the internet. They don't believe any video. They don't believe anything. So they just go on what they know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what do you think? Do you think, Dave, I want to ask your opinion. When it comes to pictures like that, do you think it could be possible for some that there's some kind of mental illness at play, or have you given it any thought?
I have thought about that. I've never been asked that. I think what it is that when you look so hard at something, the pareidolia comes through.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this as a non-professional and non-researcher. I consider myself an enthusiast.
Yeah.
Because I think if I was one of these people who lied on my resume, like we see all of these so-called journalists in our field, okay, I would be lying. I'd lie to the public. I'd lie to our fans. I'd lie to everybody. I'm not a researcher. I don't know the first thing about research. I'll tell you right now, when I go out, I can tell you right now, every time I go out to my Bigfoot site, guess what I forget? A tape measure, a ruler. All I know is that I wear a 9-inch shoe, and if that print is bigger than my shoe, I know I might have something. Okay? Am I very thorough? Like, hey, I'm the first one to try and debunk everything that I have.
Yeah.
Okay? If I see something in the ground, I try and debunk it. My first thought isn't Sasquatch, and I think it's reverse for many people, where their first line of thought is, oh, this is Sasquatch or Dogman. I put up a picture of a wolf track because we have wolf packs in this area. And I had people arguing on my Facebook page because I enlarged the photo. Okay, the track was about 3-4 inches long. Okay, but because I enlarged the photo, to make it look so people could see the dermal ridges and everything in this muddy print, immediately it was a Dogman print. I've never and I'm like, no, it's a wolf track. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. That's a Dogman print.
Yeah. It's always, you don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. I mean, I'm glad you touched on and said you're not a researcher, because I don't think I'm a researcher either. The term researcher is a term that we choose to give ourselves. Nobody has a degree in Sasquatch studies. I don't know of any universities. There's not a Bigfoot Yowie Sasquatch University out there that I know of. I mean, how can someone claim to be an expert on a topic that we haven't even proven yet? So researcher, it's a term that we choose to give ourselves. I do have a lot of equipment. I take all that equipment out with me when I go out. Dave, I might use half of it while I'm out there, and like you said, bringing your phone. I use my phone more than anything out there. And more so than that, I use a pen and paper, take notes, write stuff down. That's the best tool you can take, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I also agree that your intuition is probably one of the greatest tools that nobody gives credit to.
Absolutely.
Like at our site, The majority of stuff that we do, we just go to feel it, man. We have in my group that we go, my group of friends, when we go out, we have enough outdoor experience to know the difference between a rabbit in heat and a Sasquatch growling. We know the difference between the sound of a wolf and the sound of a bear. We know that bears are loud going through the trees, so are moose, right? We know cats are quiet. We know cats aren't coming around if there's a fire. We know what a cat growl sounds like, whether it's a cougar, bobcat, or lynx. You have to know your surroundings. And if you don't, that's when you start getting in it. Well, everything is a Sasquatch. Not finding Bigfoot on television is a great example of that.
Not finding Bigfoot. That's funny. But I agree with you, man. I do. And something else that I think is silly that we as a group, Manimal Research as a group, we don't do anymore. We did in the early days were these night hikes, going out and walking around all stealthy in the woods. You're never going to sneak up on a Bigfoot, in my opinion. I mean, I enjoy going on night walks. We still do them from time to time, but we're not going out there ever thinking we're going to sneak up on a Bigfoot. I mean, it's cool to have that creepy factor. It's fun. We all like being a little bit scared, and that's what you get basically. But from my experience, if you just go to an area with known activity and do your thing, just camp. Just camp. Set up your camp, cook your food over an open fire, enjoy yourself, cut up, have conversations. Every once in a while, get your therm out or your night vision or whatever and scan the wood line. See if anything's watching. If there's
Bingo.
something in the area, I truly believe they're going to come to you. You are never going to creep up on a Sasquatch. It's not going to happen. So just go out, have fun, and let them come to you.
We're going to get into the Appalachians in just a moment here because you got some weird stories from there. But I just want to say, I think that is a great answer because I have talked to a number of Bigfoot researchers over the years. You don't need to wear camouflage going out in the forest. You don't need to bring, spray that's going to, take away your scent. You don't need to do any of that. The one thing that I think most researchers forget about this creature is that it's curious.
Yeah.
It's like a house cat. It's curious. If you set up shop and you stand still, if you're in an area where they have left clues, whether it's footprints or bent over trees or whatever it may be, they will find you. And if you go back to that spot and do everything the same, they will come back because they will recognize you. It's these people who are running down deer trails for 45 miles who are not finding anything. You don't have to do it that way. Call me the lazy man Sasquatch area, but man, what I bring to the table, I bring my phone, I bring a flashlight, I bring my lawn chair, and I bring some firewood and fire starter. That's it. That's all you need.
That's all you need, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I could not agree with that anymore. The walking around in the woods is fun. It's creepy. We do it. Let me ask you, Dave, when you go out, do you carry firearms?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
But let me preface this. There's a couple things that we do when we get to our area. The first thing we do is light tobacco.
Okay.
Because First Nations, indigenous gifting, tobacco is a peace offering. So we light tobacco, allow the area to kind of, settle down, and then I kind of give for me, I believe, and I don't know why I believe this, but I believe that they can understand us. So so prior to that, when I park, I park in the exact same spot that I always park. Okay. Then first thing, I get out of my vehicle, I light tobacco. So that way it's my gift that I come in peace. Then I give a little speech. Once again, I'm not yelling it, screaming it into the woods because you don't have to. But I believe in the more spiritual side of this creature. And I say, look, we are armed. However, at no time will we raise a weapon to you. These weapons are to protect us from the other predatory animals that are out to not understand what we are doing here. We have them for our safety. But if we see you, do not worry. We are not going to raise any arms to you.
Now,
Okay?
Dave, is this something you're saying out loud, or are you thinking it?
Both.
Okay.
Depends on the day. Usually I'll say it out loud in the same volume that I'm saying it because I believe that, there's spirit all over the place.
Yeah.
There's energy all over the place. And it usually takes about half an hour after we are settled down to actually start to, you start to tune into the forest. Our area that we have, our main area that we have, we get orbs going through the trees. We get what we call them fairies. What they are, I don't know what they are. But all of a sudden you'll see orbs, but all of a sudden you'll see these little lights like take off, like little meteorites in the trees. And I know in my area, there's always been people with fairy gardens. I have a fairy garden in my backyard. When I moved into the house, I'm like, what the hell is a fairy garden? Right? Well, it's nothing but nature in an area that you cut off as a garden. That's a fairy garden, and you put a little door up by the tree and you got a fairy house, right? And we've had UFO sightings there. We've had, the Sasquatch sightings and everything. The other thing that we do is we pay attention to where they are. We're always listening. Where's a tree not coming from? Where are we feeling? And you'll know what I mean by when I do this, you hear the thud, thud. Bears don't make a thud, thud sound when they walk.
Mm-hmm.
Moose do not make a thud, thud sound when they walk. Neither do the wild horses. Deer, you can't hear them. Cats, you'll never hear. So what in the middle of the forest, in the middle of nowhere, is making that thud, thud, like heavy footstep onto the ground?
Other than a human?
Nothing.
Yeah. Dave, you and I could be the same person, man. Some of the stuff that you're talking about, because I do the same stuff. I go out. Sometimes I will call out like a peace offering. And I got that from my good friend, Dr. John Baranchuk. He does that every time we go out, and he has this big, deep voice, and he just lets it go. Don't care who's around. I noticed, I think it's One just commented that she heard Bigfoot was telepathic. I don't know where I stand on that, but I've got the what if. What if they have this ability? So while I'm walking, I'm talking to them in my head. I don't know if you can hear me. I might be just completely wasting my time, but I tell them a lot like you say, I'm not here to hurt you. I do have a gun on me. That is for my protection. It is not for you. If you will just grant me the opportunity to see you, I would be so grateful. I just want to learn from you. And I say stuff like that in my head, sometimes out loud, while I'm walking in the woods because of that what if. What if they do have that ability? And I do have this tool that I could use, and one day it might work. Now, something as a rule for our organization, and I've bumped heads with a couple members before, I don't allow any of our members to carry long guns like rifles, ARs, stuff like that, shotguns, because I wholeheartedly believe that these things know what a gun is. They have seen hunters.
We have no choice in Canada.
Really?
Because handguns are a prohibited firearm.
There you go. See, I didn't know that. Yeah. So I guess you have no choice.
No choice. I bring a shotgun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you believe they know what guns are?
Oh, 100%.
I think so
100%.
too. So I
Yeah.
got my 45 on my hip at all times when I'm in the woods, but I'm always telling them it's not for you. And I believe that it's going to take a body. I really do. I hate saying it. Every time I say it, I hate it. But I'm hoping that it doesn't come down to someone killing one, if that makes any sense. The perfect scenario would be finding a dead one. Maybe a truck hits one or something crossing the road, and then we have one to study after that. I and my organization, we are never going to go out with the goal of putting one down. The only way I would ever shoot at one is if I felt I was in danger, or a family or someone that was with me was in danger. What do you think? Do you think it's going to take a body?
It has to take a body. It has to. I just don't think we'll ever find one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Because
And
Dave, film and pictures are never going to do it. So taking pictures and sharing these pictures, these BS pictures we talked about earlier, you're just hurting us. You're not helping us. If video was going to be enough, the mystery would have been solved in 1967 with the Patterson Gimlin film. That should have
agreed.
been enough right there to put this thing to bed. But video's not enough. It's never going to be enough. I could put out high def, just high quality footage of two Bigfoot mating in my backyard tomorrow, and someone's going to scream fake. Always. That's too good. That footage is too good. You get some, and others will say, well, that's not good enough. Pictures and footage is never going to be enough. It's never going to satisfy anybody.
Agreed. Agreed. And especially with the advancement so quickly of AI, there's not a video out there that's going to be good anymore. Everything has to be put together. I don't know if you saw this on X, but the last couple of days, there's been a video out of Mexico that actually played in their news run of a disc-shaped UFO over a bunch of like over a building, and you can actually, it looks like you can actually see somebody getting abducted. Now, I think it's CGI. I don't believe it's real. But what if it is? We'll never, ever believe that we caught something like that on camera again.
I haven't seen this, but I want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a sad state we're in.
Yeah.
And this is my argument even in the UFO community. We cannot trust audio. We cannot trust video. We cannot trust any sort of photograph. What's evidence? What is proof now?
You're right. Why have I spent thousands of dollars on this equipment that if I do get something, it's just going to raise more questions?
90 seconds to go here. If you had the $1 million footage, would you release it?
That's something that we're going to need more time to talk about, because I think there needs to be a protocol. There needs to be a set protocol of what to do with that evidence so it doesn't get gone, if you know what I mean.
Here's my thing on that. And if you want to answer that question when we come back for the break, that we can, or we can move on, because I do want to get into some Appalachian stories with you. I wouldn't release it. Look at the harassment that people take. Bob Gimlin, at 96 years old, is still being harassed by people in this field. They've harassed his family, his children, his grandchildren, his great-grandchildren. Why would I want to bring that on my family?
It makes perfect sense.
That's the way I look at it. So if I had that $1 million footage to be do you take the financial, portion into it now? Or do you take a lifetime of generational ridicule because it's there forever?
The Freeman footage?
Yeah. Another one.
Great points, man.
When we come back, I want to get your opinion on that. And we're also going to get into the Appalachian Mountains. There's a lot of high strangeness up there, from monsters like Dogman and Bigfoot to UFO and alien encounters, little people, feral people. Wayne Tothero, we got him for another hour on Spaced Out Radio. We'll be right back. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, Wayne, we got about 6 minutes here. I'm just going to step away for a couple minutes. I'm going to put you back in the green room. I'll be right back, okay?
All right, buddy.
All right, be right back, everybody. Make my chair move. I am back. We got 1 minute to go here. Going to bring Wayne back in. All right. Thank you, everybody, for your great questions so far. And I haven't missed anybody, so that's good. Paranormal Odyssey, how you doing? Well, that's Wayne. Look
That's
at
me.
that. Thank you, Richard. Again, way too kind. Thank you to Richard times 4, T-Bone times 2, and Deborah Rooney. Very much appreciate the love on the super chats. And here we go, everybody. Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and I'm glad you're with us as we talk monsters with Wayne Todorow here on The Big Show. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Calculate. Calculate is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. All right, Wayne Todorow is here, podcaster extraordinaire, looking into monsters, legends, and people who've experienced the strange and weird. Wayne, where can people find your podcast?
You can find the podcast anywhere that you get podcasts. Apple, Spotify, all of the podcatchers out there. We have a live YouTube channel that we are trying desperately to grow. My producer, Miss Tiffany Duran, a great friend of mine. She's my producer / co-host. We work really hard on that channel. We are coming up on 3,000 subscribers. So anyone watching, if you want to do us a solid, we would greatly appreciate it if you would take a second, head over to Paranormal Odyssey and give us a sub. We would greatly appreciate that. So I take the audio from all of our live shows that we do over on Paranormal Odyssey Live, and I upload those to podcasts, which you can find anywhere. I'm also the co-host of That Bigfoot podcast with my great friend, Mr. Brian King Sharp, who is the host of Sasquatch Odyssey. Sasquatch Odyssey is probably the third or fourth largest Bigfoot podcast in the world. I mean, he is killing it, doing a great job. So he and I co-host That Bigfoot podcast. We would appreciate it if you would check that out as well. And that is, again, that's on all the podcast platforms.
Love it. Thank you for sharing that with us. Right before the break, we were talking about if you had the $1 million film, you had the proof among proof. Would you share it to the world?
You brought up some great points, Dave. I've always thought that if I had good footage, I have pretty thick skin. I don't really care what people will say about me. I mean, if I know it's real, I'm going to talk about it and I'm going to put it out there. But you brought up some good points. Mr. Bob Gimlin has sure taken his share of crap over the years. And one thing impressive about him, I mean, there's many things impressive about Bob. I love the guy. Never met him in person, but I would love to. But he's never faltered. He's never wavered on the story. And I heard, I don't know how long ago it was, but someone offered him $1 million to admit that it was fake, and he wouldn't do it. He's just this cowboy from out in California. $1 million would have changed his life, but he stood by his morals and he wouldn't admit it because he knows what he saw. I believe wholeheartedly that the PG film is legit. Now I don't know. I don't know if I would release it. One thing that Brian and I have talked about, we did a whole show on that Bigfoot podcast about protocol in the Bigfoot community. There's so much divide out there, like I talked about at the beginning of tonight's show. Just the egos and everything, and the whole community is just divided because everybody wants to be that person that proves it. What if someone finds a body? What if someone takes one down and someone is in possession of a body? What do you do? There needs to be a protocol. We as a community need to come together and lay out these guidelines of what to do. Because, I mean, I don't know how true it is, but Dave, I know you've heard it as well about government stepping in and taking evidence, suppressing, stealing evidence, hiding stuff. A skeleton goes missing, accidentally, would the government come in and take possession of a body if you go about doing it the wrong way? How do you do it the right way? Have you ever considered that?
I'm not sure if I buy that.
Okay.
I know I've had some very trusting people that I trust as researchers and informants on this show saying, "Oh, they have them. The Smithsonian has the bodies. The Smithsonian has it all." And I'm not sure if I buy that. And I'm not saying that I don't believe them, but if you're asking my opinion on it, why would the Smithsonian hide it from us?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, we know they have bodies of giants. They've said that they've had bodies of giants. Are they Sasquatch or are they human? We don't know. Right?
So they
And
have bodies, or they lost the bodies of
that
giants?
they have skeletal remains. But if they've lost bodies, I mean, look, there are certain things I want to believe. Like, for instance, the story at Mount St. Helens after the eruption,
Yeah.
where there was allegedly Chinook helicopters with giant nets pulling Sasquatch bodies out of the debris and taking them for scientific research. That could have happened because if they're taking it for scientific research, we would never know about it if it's a military involvement. We'd never know about it. So I do believe that could happen. But as for proof of it happening, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they have that or if they even care. But this is what I do know. I do know this, that if an endangered or an extinct species, or allegedly extinct species, is found in an area, they cordon off that area and they shut everything down because they have to find how many there are, what are they feeding off of, where are they located. There are many scientific questions that need to be answered. If Bigfoot is found, imagine the economic downfall for an area. I know loggers out in my area, because I live in a logging community, who have seen things, who have had 200, 300, 400-pound boulders thrown at their equipment. There's one site out here back in 2018 where the crew left for the night. They came back and there was tracks of footprints everywhere and 300-pound boulders lying at the side of their equipment with, we're talking big backhoe type equipment with dents in it. Like something like that rock was thrown at them, dented, and then it falls to the ground. A human can't do that. 2 humans can't do that. 3 humans can't do that. 4 humans can't do that.
So, Dave, why is that not enough proof?
Well, the logging industry, if you think of how they would shut down the area, what's it going to affect? It's going to affect logging potentially mining, water sources, hikers, fishermen, camping, hunting. You're affecting an entire ecosystem. And the money that is brought in by either blue collar natural resource jobs or tourism, which is in the millions upon millions of dollars. You get a logging contract for an area that's, say, going to pay you $5 million to log this certain area. If that gets shut down, you don't get another contract in BC because you have to apply for them. You just can't say, well, we'll go cut over here. That's not how it works. The government has to approve where you're logging. So if you lose that because somebody found a Sasquatch, you're out $5 million. You have about $1.5 million, $2 million a year to spend in equipment, whether it's vehicles, whether it's tractors, whether it's dump trucks, logging trucks. You have to pay your crew, who is probably making on minimum $70,000 to about $120,000. You got to have your mechanic, your heavy duty mechanic, who's probably making $150 to $200 to make sure your gear is all working. Safety, insurance, everything. If you give that up for somebody saying there's a Sasquatch in that area, you've lost your livelihood and your crew's livelihoods for 1 year.
Yeah. So, and that's you gave the example of an endangered species. So, if Bigfoot is found, I don't know how I feel, and I want to ask how you feel about the whole Gigantopithecus thing, because that has always made the most sense to me. And if you have an endangered species, it more than likely would be something like that, I would think.
It used to make sense to me up until I started talking to a lot of First Nations people in British Columbia, where they told me stories about how the creature just can show up and vanish at the same time.
Yeah.
And then in 2013, after I had my first sighting of two of them within 100 feet of me, on my friend's property in behind his house in a forest, I changed. I still thought it was flesh and blood, but my attitude was changing. And then a few weeks later, we were doing. They had like a mini ESETI ranch going on there. They had everything, ghosts and UFOs and everything going on there, and the Sasquatch. And we were doing what we called a perimeter walk around their property. And they had this pond where all of a sudden we heard like somebody taking a 2x4 and slapping the water. We're up on a mountain, man. There's no beavers up there. Okay, taking their tail and slapping the water. So we walk back to the house, which is probably 100 yards away. We walk back to the house and we get that, a couple of us got the feeling we were being followed. I turn and look behind this old cherry tree. And right beside the cherry tree, from the ground to about 8 feet, 10 feet up, all I saw was pixelation. 2 out of the 4 of us could see it. The other 2 could not.
You were physically seeing pixelation, not through a camera, but
no, physically with my eyes, like I'm looking at you or you're looking at the camera right now. And we ended up walking to the house, to the front of the house. When we got to the front of the house, from that area where the cherry tree was, we got roared at. And this was the most blood-curdling thing I have ever heard. Because this was only 250 feet away. That's not far. It's not far. And we got roared at. And it was at that moment that I realized, remembering what one of my First Nations friends had said about pixelation and disappearing and changing its shape, that's where I became a believer in the woo on that situation right there.
Yeah, I mean, if you witness something firsthand, I mean, you have to. I have become so much more open-minded due to the people that I've talked to. Like good, down-to-earth people that, I mean, I feel like I got a pretty good BS meter. I can tell when someone's being genuine with me. People are seeing some crazy stuff, man.
Yes, they are.
And I don't know what to make of it. You telling me about the pixelization that you've seen, I've heard that before, and people. Am I right in assuming, Dave, that it's like the movie The Predator? Is
Yeah.
that something similar?
Yeah. And then it opens up a whole different conundrum because have you seen the video of Jan Maccabee?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So on David Paulides' Missing 411 Hunters,
I have seen that. I know what you're talking about, but please go ahead.
they interview a lady named Jan Maccabee.
Yeah.
And for people who may not be familiar about who Jan Maccabee is, her late husband, Bruce Maccabee, was one of the people who was very, very involved in UFO studies from the 1960s right up until his passing earlier this year. And Bruce Maccabee was considered part of what is nicknamed the aviary, where all of these big players were given bird nicknames. So that way, for UFO researchers who had their phones being tapped at the time, they could talk in code without anybody knowing whom they were talking about. And Bruce was one of the aviary. So they had some property in, I forget where their property is, somewhere in the Midwest. And she was out hunting before dinner. And she was standing or sitting up in her deer stand waiting for this one buck that she had been tracking for a while. And she heard some noise in the trees, and that's where she saw the predator-like Glimmer Man. And people believe the Glimmer Man can morph into Sasquatch. And she got a picture of it. You could go on Google, type in Jan Maccabee, Glimmer Man, and the photo will come up.
I remember seeing that now, and I remember how shocked I was when I saw the images. It's compelling. It really is. There's so much, man. I mean, I thought I would have answers by now. 5 years in, I have more questions. When I first started this, you could not convince me that what we were looking for was anything more than a flesh and blood creature. As I've always put it, another one of God's creations, because I'm a Christian man, another one of God's creations that we just don't know much about. That's all this thing is in my eyes back then. Like I said, the more people I've talked to, probably around 1,000 now, there's something else going on. There's something else going on. Talk about the mind speak stuff, the cloaking and all that. I have a theory on what the cloaking is. I think the top hair that they have allows them to blend in, so it can seem like they disappeared. If they just like shift a little bit, it can seem like they disappeared, but really they're just blending into their surroundings. Obviously, that's just my theory. I have nothing to base that on, but I think a lot of it can be explained, but some of it can't, man. Can't. I mean, the video you're talking about can't be explained.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. And on that note, we got 4 minutes to go here. And I know I got a bunch of audience questions. I know we're probably going to run out of time. What makes the Appalachian Mountains so weird?
They're creepy, man. I don't know. They really are. One thing that I've been into lately is these feral people. Reports of feral people. I I don't know what to make of it, man. You look into the Dennis Martin case. If anyone is familiar with the Dennis Martin case, I think he was 6 years old, little boy. I think it was 1969. He went missing from the Smoky Mountains, the Cades Cove area, a place I visited many times with my family. Little boy disappeared and has not been seen since. In 1969, it was the largest search and rescue mission in Tennessee history that went on. They brought Green Berets in. They brought the FBI in. Not a single trace of this boy has been found. And there's all kind of speculations on what went wrong. Another family several miles away witnessed and I quote, unkept man with something over his shoulder running up this hill. Was this little boy taken by feral people? I don't know. People speculate maybe he was taken by Bigfoot. I don't know. I think he was taken by somebody. He had to have been taken by somebody. You look into the Dennis Martin story, and it's haunting, man. It will mess with you, or it messed with me. But the whole feral people thing is probably the creepiest thing about the Appalachians, in my opinion.
For people who may not know what a feral person is, let us know.
As far as I know, a feral person is someone that just lives off grid. Their entire family, they just choose to live up in the mountains. They catch their own food. They, come up with their own resources. There's a lot of inbreeding that goes on. There's just these families that just keep multiplying. And how do you multiply? And we all know how that works. It's your inbreeding and deformations throughout the years. Just scary, scary people. I've heard stories about them not really speaking proper English because they don't hear it. That they've spent their whole lives in the mountains away from people. So a feral person is someone that is not civilized, someone that does not come down off the mountains for supplies. They catch and they eat everything that they do on their own up in the mountains. And there's tons of reports in the Appalachians.
These people who decide to live off the grid, or maybe they're born out there and that's all they know. How dangerous are they?
I mean, I would imagine they would be very dangerous. I mean, they don't have the social skills, the social capabilities that you and I have. I've heard stories about them having like kind of their own language. I mean, it's anything that is different is usually pretty scary, I think. And especially when it comes to a person, an actual human being. It's unknown. It's unnerving. I really don't know what else I can add to that. Just people that choose to live differently.
I wonder why we only got about 25 seconds. I wonder why someone would choose to live like that.
I'd heard stories, Dave, about people back like when the draft was going on. People that went up into the mountains to avoid being drafted and just stayed. I don't know how accurate that is, but that could be one reason.
That's so strange. Let's talk more about this when we come back on Spaced Out Radio, because the Appalachian Mountains are a mystery all to their own. UFOs, aliens, Bigfoot, feral people. Wayne Totherow is our guest.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
JBD, how you doing?
I know you mentioned like little people. I've got when we get there, I've got a pretty interesting story about little people that I heard from a ranger. That yeah,
Save,
it's interesting.
save that.
Okay.
We have little people around here. My buddy actually, back in like 2018, got called into the forest by something mimicking my voice. And
Oh
I was at home
wow.
getting ready for the show.
Something mimicking your voice.
Yeah. His name is Mike. And this voice was apparently saying, "Help me, Mike. I'm in here. Help me. Come get me. I'm in here, Mike."
Yeah, I don't like that.
No. No, I told him point blank, and to this day we still talk about it. Because the trail that he was on, we've been down that trail dozens of times where it happened. And I still say to him, I think if you would have followed that sound that sounded like me into the forest, we'd have never seen you again. You'd have been gone.
That's so scary to think about. Have you heard about like babies? Have you heard babies crying?
I've never heard babies crying in the forest. If I heard a baby crying in the forest, I would get the hell out of there.
Yeah, I've talked to a couple of people. I've had a few people on my show that have talked about hearing it. One person, we shared the recording on that Bigfoot podcast. A lady recorded it sounds like a baby crying in the woods. And if you ask me, man, that's so sinister. That is playing off of your basic human emotions. If you hear a child in distress, you go help that child, right? I mean, that's most people's thinking. So for something to know that and try to draw you in, that's terrifying, man. In these areas where there should not be children, I mean, and it's always a little off. Like the sound is a little off. You can tell it's supposed to be something, but it's different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
Th-
totally hear what you're saying.
It's like somebody trying to draw you into the woods to
Yep,
harm you.
100%. 100%.
Mm. There's some creepy stuff that goes on out here, man.
Uh-huh. I fully agree with you, man.
Yeah.
Fully agree with you.
What do y'all
Same way.
get many dogman reports up there?
I have had a couple. I've even had a Wendigo report.
Really?
That was in Banff, Alberta. I'm sitting in the bar one night. My daughter's there. I'm being the responsible dad, picking her up. And she introduces me to this guy who she knows. And she's like, yeah, he talks weird stuff. He goes into the forest looking for Bigfoot. He goes, can I tell you a story? I said, sure. He goes, my friends and I do some crazy things. I said, oh, yeah. He goes, yeah. One time we went to Banff and we were climbing the power line towers. And off in the distance, we saw this thing about 200 yards away walking towards us on two legs. And it had antlers.
Oh my God.
And he goes, I don't know if it saw us up in the tower, but it saw my friends, and my friends got the hell out of there. But that was that dogman here in my area. I've only had one person tell me, and that was a First Nations elder, where him and his brother were out hunting black bear, and they thought they saw two of them standing on their hind legs. So his brother raised his gun up, looked through the scope, brought the gun down, and said, we need to go right now, because it was two dogmen that were there. And brother knew that if you fire, you're dead. Right? So We got like 17 seconds. Thank you to Deborah Rooney, Richard ×4, T-Bone with a hat trick right there. There's the hat trick for T-Bone. Thank you, buddy. Very much appreciate you. You're the best. And here we go, everybody. Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Sasquatch, Dogman, Little People in the Appalachians. Wayne Todero is our guest tonight. I've had so much fun with Wayne. I hope you are too. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. All right, Wayne Todero, we're talking the Appalachians. You got a great story from there about the little people.
That's
what
right.
happened?
Man, this is one of my favorite ones to tell. This was in the early days of Manimal research, maybe a year. We've been doing it, probably not even a year. It was our very first trip to this place in North Georgia called Pigeon Mountain. And those of you that are familiar with the BFRO, the website, you know, no matter what you think, how you feel about the BFRO, that website is such a useful tool. Because if you're going to be in a new area, all you got to do is go to the BFRO and put in the county that you're going to be in, and it tells you how many reported sites or sightings there have been in that area. So it's very useful. If you go to the BFRO and you look up Walker County, Georgia, you'll see, unless they've updated it, you'll see 5 encounters, 5 reports. All 5 of those are on Pigeon Mountain. So that's where we were going. My good friend and the VP of the organization, Mr. Derek Jasper Walls, is one that found out about this location. He had sold a kerosene heater or something, I don't remember, but he was delivering it to the people, and he got to talking to them and got comfortable with them and told them what we were doing. You know, we go out looking for a Bigfoot. You know, have you heard anything? And he told Derek about Pigeon Mountain. He said that he and a hunting buddy were chased out of there by something back like in the 80s, and he hasn't been back. So of course that's where we're going to go. A couple weekends later, we load up the truck, firewood, all just camping stuff for a couple of days in the mountains. It was our first trip there. We get there, and there's this little ranger station at the foot of the mountain. Neither of us had ever camped before. This was in January of 20, or 20, or might have been, it was 21, I think, January of 21. It was the last day of deer season. We didn't know that. And that was a public area up there. So we check in at the ranger station. We'd never camped there before. Just wanted to make sure we were on the up and up, if we had to pay for anything, all that stuff. So I go in and I meet this young man, mid to late 20s, very personable, very respectful, clean cut, just a nice young man. You know, I hit it off with him right away. Felt comfortable with him. Enough so that a few minutes into the conversation, I say, I'm going to go for it. All right, man, this is what we're doing. We have heard about sightings of Bigfoot up here. We're wanting to have an encounter. Have you talked to anybody? Have you heard any stories? And Dave, I swear to you, this man looks me in the eye with a straight face and says, Bigfoot, no, but we've had several reports of gnomes. Gnomes. That's what he said, like a garden gnome. I thought he was laughing. I mean, I thought he was kidding. I laughed. I thought he was kidding. He didn't. He did not smile. He didn't. No, dude, I'm serious. I'm telling you. We've had more than a few reports of people seeing little people, and they described them as looking like gnomes. I didn't know what to make of that. He told me that several people that have stayed there and hunted there reported it. Also, a very seasoned ranger that had worked there for years swore that he had seen them a couple of times up there. So much so that they were doing work up there at one time with like heavy equipment, like bulldozers, like earth movers and stuff. One of the crew members saw one like shimmy away and go into a hole or something, and he reported it to his lead person. They contacted the Rangers and told them, and everything was shut down. They had to leave after that. They wouldn't let them continue to work in that area. Obviously, I don't have anything to corroborate. I don't have any proof of that other than what this man told me, that there were reports of gnomes in that area.
Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out. I actually used to despise gnomes, scared the hell out of me. And do you know who David Weatherly is?
I've heard the name.
Okay, if you ever get the opportunity to interview him, he's a great interview. And he is kind of like a mentor to me in the cryptid world. He's been writing about monsters for 30 plus years. And he actually, we were talking about gnomes. I was like, I don't like them. I don't like, if I see them around, I go the other way. And these are garden gnomes. And he actually called me the day after I did my show. He's like, you and I need to have a talk. I said, what? He goes, Dave, stop insulting the gnomes. He goes, because if they hear you, they will start enacting revenge against you. And they will take things from you. They will cause accidents. They will do all sorts of weird, strange things. He goes, Dave, you may not want to believe in them. They may weird you out. But stop insulting them, because eventually they will come get you.
Now, could he be talking about pugwudgies?
Gnomes.
Okay.
Gnomes. Like guarded gnomes.
Yeah,
So
I've heard of like pugwudgies like taking revenge on people. But I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No, please go ahead. You're the interview tonight. It's about you.
Yeah, I just don't know if there's a difference in gnomes and pugwudgies and all of that.
Maybe not. All I know is I have gnomes in my studio everywhere now. I am not
his advice.
If I look at my studio right now, let's see. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 right behind me. 5, 6, 7, 8. I think 8 gnomes, 9 gnomes in here.
Yeah, now you love those little critters.
I'm not taking the chance. I am not taking the chance in regards to the gnomes. Have you, in the Appalachians, in your research, ever had people come up to you about encounters with a cryptid and a UFO at the same time?
I have interviewed people that talked about seeing a Bigfoot, like either right before or right after a UFO sighting. I don't know what to make of that. I have interviewed people that swear there's a connection. I can't get there. I don't know what to make of it. Another thing, and you talked about the orbs earlier, Dave, and that's something else that I haven't really experienced. But you also talked about, and I'm glad we circled back to this, about the little like shimmers of light that would like shoot off. You remember talking about that? Like a little.
Yes.
My buddy and fellow Manimal research member, Kevin Jones, he's ex-law enforcement, another one of my great friends. There's a place that we go in East Tennessee called Big Frog Mountain, and it's the only place that's ever happened. But he talked about seeing those little like light slivers shoot off like from nowhere, and he thought that it might have been like reflection from the fire off of his glasses, but it was on like the opposite side. So I don't know what to make about that. I don't know what to make about orbs. Obviously, there's some kind of connection, because if you hear someone talk about a UFO Bigfoot connection, there's almost always an orb in the story. Would you agree?
There's always something strange with them. What is causing them? Are they a natural phenomena? Are they something spiritual or extraterrestrial? Don't know. Don't know what creates them.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I didn't know if that was something that was special to this area, or if it's happening everywhere. I'm assuming it's happening everywhere.
I think so. I totally believe that. It is probably happening everywhere. And the one thing that is strange about it is you can't control what they do or where they're going or whatever. There is no control of it all.
Yeah.
And I think for us as humans, that's the hard part.
Do you think there's a connection between UFOs and Bigfoot?
I think the entire phenomenon is connected, whether it's ghosts, whether it's gnomes, whether it's UFOs, aliens, cryptids. I think it's all connected. I think what I call the phenomenon is a little piece of everything, and we're all part of the game. I believe the phenomenon is godly, part of God's mystery. Like, I'm a God-fearing man just like you. But I think this is the added mystery, because I do believe there are some things we're not going to know until we get to where our final journey ends. And I don't get it. I don't get the understanding of it all. But I do know that I have had encounters personally with the phenomena at the same time. I've interviewed numerous people who have had encounters, where I did one research out here where a gentleman got freaked out that a Sasquatch crossed the logging road in front of him at night. We're talking probably 50 miles from where I am right now, into the forest. And that scared him. He punches the gas on the logging road, and as he's going, all of a sudden, beam of light comes down. He looks out his window. There's a black triangle over top of his vehicle. No missing time, no nothing. Went and checked that area, never saw a thing.
Yeah, the missing time is something that just fascinates me. I've talked to several people that have experienced that, and I don't know what to make of it. You could be right, man. You could be absolutely right. Going back a little bit about the gnomes and the little people, are you familiar at all with the moon-eyed people?
No, tell me about them.
Yeah, when you get a chance, look it up, because you'll get a lot more information than I can give you. But I did a little short story on it on my channel, Paranormal Odyssey, a couple years ago. Supposedly they were this race of Native American people that were very small, very, very small. And they were mainly active at night. That's where they got the name Moon-Eyed people. It wasn't because they had these huge eyes that look like moons. It's because they could really only see at night for whatever reason. And I have wondered, since that encounter with the ranger on Pigeon Mountain, I'm talking about little people, about could it possibly have been this race of moon-eyed people? Because supposedly, if I remember correctly, they were run off. I mean, we're talking centuries ago. They were run off by the Cherokee down in my area. And they were a real thing because one of the mountains that I like to go to in North Georgia, heading over to Ellijay, Georgia, up in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and one of the parks up there, Fort Mountain is the name of the mountain. There's an actual monument to the Moon-Eyed People, and I think there's a couple others. So look it up; it's really interesting. But supposedly they really existed. It was this tribe of just really small Native American. I mean, really small, could have been 4 foot. I don't know. I don't remember reading anything about measurements. When I think about gnomes, I think about, like 18 inches to 2 feet, you know. So it would be hard for me to believe that there was a race of people that small. But I don't know. It's interesting. Look it up. Maybe some of your listeners are more familiar with it.
We'll have to look that up. Do you want to believe or do you already believe?
I already believe. I believe I've had a sighting, and that was on Pigeon Mountain. It was the second trip up there. I have some pictures that I don't mind sending you that I was able to take with my flare. It was a nighttime sighting. Again, it was in January, bitterly cold. Anytime I go on an investigation, I charge all of my equipment. Everything I had was 100% charged. When I saw this thing, I pulled my flare out and started to shine it or to point it toward it. I did not have enough battery to take a video. All I could do was take a still. I took a still picture of this huge thing on 2 legs, 2 massive arms hanging down, and it was doing that, swaying from left to right. And there was this smaller thing in front of it that kept scurrying back and forth. And I couldn't take a video. All I could do was get a still, and it died. I ran to my truck, plugged it up for a couple minutes, got enough of a charge for the flare to come back on, ran back out there. The bigger one was still there. The smaller one was gone. There was nothing small there anymore. The big one was still just standing there in the same spot, swaying back and forth. Was able to get another picture. Flare dies. I run back to the truck, charge it up enough, leave it on a couple minutes longer just to get a little more charge. When I went back, it was gone. So that's the only time I believe I've had a sighting. And again, that was on Pigeon Mountain in Walker County. We didn't feel threatened. We stayed the whole time. That's pretty much, for me, that was enough to say that there's something out there that, I'd say I'm 99% sure that there is some type of Bigfoot creature out there. Because if not, what did I see? It wasn't Shaquille O'Neal running around naked in North Georgia.
That would be an impressive yet scary sight.
It would, yeah.
Right? I don't know, man. And that is such a classic encounter that people are having with the answer, I don't know. While we're doing that, let's go to a couple audience questions here because we got 5 minutes left, and I want to sneak a couple of these in. Ane is asking, has anyone found a dead one?
Not to my knowledge.
Not to my... there's been stories of it happening, but I think everything has been debunked as fake.
Yeah, you had that whole Rick Dyer fiasco from North Georgia. That was crap.
One in the freezer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sierra is asking, do you think Sasquatch are interdimensional and physical? And how are they related? If so, to UFOs? Your thoughts?
Again, I can't get there. I know you lean heavily in that direction, Dave, and I've talked to many people that do. I'm still hanging on to the flesh and blood thing, even though I have talked to many people that's made me question that. But I can't get there.
And I think that's wonderful. I love the fact that you are you have your belief, but you still are open-minded enough to allow the possibility. I think that's an impressive step. Let's go to Mike here. Do you ever wonder what happens to their dead? The Bigfoot must die at some point.
I think they bury their dead. What do you think, Mike? Or not Mike, Dave?
I have 3 theories. They either bury their dead like we do, they entomb their dead in like these rock caverns, these rock quarries where you go in the middle of the forest and it's just rocks.
Mm-hmm.
I think they do it there. Or if they are interdimensional, I think they take their bodies to the other side.
Yeah, very, very possible. I've talked to a couple people that have actually witnessed them burying their dead. And if they are as close to us as humans as I think, I believe that, yeah. But if they don't, and if they just lay there, Mother Nature does a pretty dang good job of taking care of stuff like that. You know, stuff disappears pretty quickly.
I agree. Nature has a great way of cleaning up after itself. Grandizer is asking, have you ever hiked the Appalachian Trail? If so, which part?
Not the whole thing. Good Lord, I'm not in the the shape to do that. I would love to be able to do that one day, but yeah, just bits and pieces. The area that I talked about the very first time that I went out and talked to the gentleman that had seen one, the park ranger that told me he wasn't going to speak about it publicly, that was a part of the Appalachian Trail. And there have been other small areas that I've hiked. Yeah, I mean, it's as creepy as it can be. It is beautiful. It is absolutely stunning in places. The waterfalls, the rock formations, it really is a beautiful place.
Let's move on here. Let's go to Polly. We know they are here. Why can't we find their bones? Well, we kind of just answered that. So let me get to another question from Polly again. Do you think Bigfoot comes from portals? Are they part human, Earth evolution? What do you think their goal is?
I am a big believer in portals. My channel and my show Paranormal Odyssey, you know, we look at everything spooky. I do a segment called Missing Persons Case Files, and I look into and I talk about just odd missing persons. And a lot of these cases, man, these people, they're with other people when they go missing. Nothing is ever found. No clothes, no bones, no body, nothing. Like the Dennis Martin thing, nothing was ever found. Why couldn't they have walked in, stepped into a portal? Why couldn't they like been the last one in line and the portal just open up and you unknowingly walk through? The older gentleman up in New York, I can't. His name escapes me, but it's a very, very popular missing 411 case. This man just disappeared, and the people that were around heard what sounded like a trap door slamming, like a metal trap door slamming, and that's all that was heard. Nothing was ever found of this man. So I think portals are a real thing.
Agreed. We're going to sneak in on A for the final question here. Are Bigfoots and aliens and beam up or could Bigfoot beam up a dead Bigfoot with the aliens so that we can't study them? Could be.
Yeah, you touched on that. That's one of your beliefs. That could be a way that they get rid of their dead. So I mean, anything's possible.
I agree. Tell everybody again the name of your show.
You can get me at Paranormal Odyssey anywhere you get podcasts. Paranormal Odyssey on YouTube, as well as That Bigfoot Podcast on podcast platform.
Love it. Coming up next on Hour 3, Swamp Dweller. Spaced Out Radio continues next.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we are clear, man. Thank you very much. What a pleasure.
That absolutely flew by.
Yeah. Totally.
That was
We got to do
a
this
lot
again.
of fun, man. I would love to come back. There's so much stuff that I didn't get to. I will come back anytime you will have me. Do you ever do podcasts?
Oh yeah,
Would you like to come on mine?
I would love to. You just let as long as it's. When do you do yours?
We go live on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, and then Saturdays we do 10 p.m. Eastern. So
I could do a Saturday.
yeah, so that would be like 7 o'clock your time.
Yeah, that works.
Okay. I got your email. Let me shoot you some openings and we'll get together. I'd love to hear some of your stories, man.
All right, Brian. You take care, okay?
All right, buddy. Thanks again. That was so much fun.
Thank you. Thanks for staying up late.
All right. Have a good night, bud.
Good night. All right. What a great guy. Good guess, Dirty Filth. I'll be right back, everybody. All right. Hello, Jackie.
Hello, Dave.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
How y'all doing?
And he's on there saying hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello,
Hello.
hello.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm good.
Hello. I always sound like Mrs. Doubtfire when I say it.
Hello. Quickly here, thank you to T-Bone with a hat trick, Richard ×4, and Deborah Rooney with the amazing super chats tonight. Very much appreciate the love. And we're going to get going here in a few seconds. Reminder, shop at the Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. Here we go. Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate the love of this show because we love bringing it to you each and every night. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Calculate. Calculate is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. For those unaware, Fort Robinson State Park is in the northwest corner of Nebraska, in the Chadron area, and is a stone's throw away from Toadstool National Park. It is the site of several bloody conflicts between the U.S. forces and Native Americans. It is the location where Chief Crazy Horse was murdered. My family has gone there every year for 30-plus years for a family reunion, and each has their own stories of the location's paranormal activity. These are my stories. When I was between 7 and 10 years old, I don't remember exactly how old I was, but my family thought it would be fun to take me snipe hunting. The whole family was in on the joke, and one even took me nearby to this natural museum to get the book on birds. Anyway, night falls, and we make our way down to an area of very tall grass near Soldier's Creek with my bag and stick and string tied to it. Now, my mother wouldn't let my brother just leave me out there all alone. I was glad she didn't, so he and his friend stayed with me. As time passed, I heard crinkles in the bag, and I pulled my stick. We clamped the bag shut and began to return to the cabin where we were staying. We went along the dirt road used for maintenance and some of the park's attractions. We stopped and looked at the right side of the road, where we thought we saw one of the adults waiting for us. It had a perfect outline of a head and shoulders, but looked like it was made out of gray mist. It was dark, so we just thought that it was hard to make out their features. So we called out to them, saying, "Hey, we're heading back to the cabin." It didn't move, though. So we sat there for a moment trying to get their attention, trying to get them to come to us. When I finally said, "Oh, that's probably a no trespassing sign or something. It's probably not actually a human being," my brother's friend turned on his flashlight, shined it down the road a little bit, and said, "No, that sign's over there." In the beam of his flashlight was the sign. He shined his light on the figure, which was just a gray mass. We booked it back to the cabin, and when we got there, we told everyone what we saw. There was a mixture of them believing us and some dismissing it as our imagination. Fast forward to me now, at 12 or 13. I had a Verizon NV3 phone at the time that had the recall because its battery was slightly too minor. and if you shook it just right, the phone would shut off because the battery disconnected. Anyway, my cousin and I were messing around on the 3rd floor of the house we were staying in. It would have been the maid quarter while it was first in operation, and I was recording us doing some stuff on my phone. It was acting weird, as if the video had substantial black spots. It skipped around like it was lagging, and later that day, we recorded something outside, and everything was absolutely standard. Overall, it was a very paranormally active location that has unfortunately never been visited by ghost hunter type people that I know about. I'd love to see a show go there one day, because I'm sure they would get some legitimate evidence. I recently went camping with my family at Koki State Park in Kauai. We stayed in a cabin on state property because my uncle does something with wildlife. Couldn't really tell you what, I never really asked him. It's on top of a hill in front of a camp. I think the camp is called Sloget. Upon walking inside, I instantly felt a chill when I wandered into this room. Being the brave person I am, I decided to face my fear and sleep in said room. Throughout the night, there were times, the best way I can describe it, that it felt like someone else was not only in the room with you, but walking through you. Everyone else suddenly experienced random goosebumps, being very cold, lights flickering, doors opening, etc. When it was finally time to wrap up the night and everyone headed to their room, it felt normal in my bed. No cold feelings, no eyes on me, just a comfy bed, and I fell asleep just fine. But sometime around 1 or 2 a.m., I woke up to what sounded like a cat's cry. I didn't think anything of it because all the stray cats on Kauai, so I closed my eyes. That's when it happened. I first noticed the feeling that someone was almost inside me. The energy was so vital that it was hitting me in waves. My ears felt a tremendous amount of pressure, to the point that I could only hear my heartbeat. The waves that I thought sounded like wah wah wah, each causing more pressure on my ears. I faced the wall, eyes shut tight, hoping it would leave me alone. Then my sleeping bag got pulled tight across my neck, and the watching me feeling changed to a get the hell out feeling. I tried to yell stop when my sleeping bag moved, but nothing came out. Slowly the pressure was lifted, and the feeling went away. Moments later, I heard my little sister, who was sleeping in the queen-size bed in the other side of the room, whimpering and tossing around. I laid there for hours, trying to go back to sleep, but never really could. This is an experience in the Koki State Park that I don't think I'll ever forget. There are some strange things that happen out there.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another great night of spooky stories. That's why we love you around here. If you want more just like that, head on over to youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads to get more. He's got thousands of them. Just hit play, all for free. Let's go to the Cryptid Report.
Oh, hello, Jackie.
Jackie Harbin is back. Jacques, how you doing?
Oh,
There you are. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastical. Fantastical. I cannot wait to just get out in nature again very soon.
Yeah,
And-
when are you going?
Well, I'm going to go this weekend. I'm going to go out to my Sasquatch site since
Ooh.
I have no ghost tours left. And
Nice.
I'm going to go enjoy the cold weather because it's supposed to rain and snow in that area. I'm going to set up a fire,
Mhm.
and I am just going to let nature do whatever nature does.
You going with your group?
I'm going with probably a couple people from my group, and I'm taking some people out there. That I know.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
That's
I haven't
awesome.
been out there for a couple of weeks. Next
Mhm.
year, though, I don't know if you heard or not. I'm not going to be doing my ghost tour next year.
Oh,
I'm-
no?
I'm done with that.
Yeah.
Next year, I'm going to be doing a lot more weekends out there and at least Saturday nights out there and see if we can create some sort of communication. I want to go hard every year. The last couple of years, I'm like, oh, this is the year. I'm going to go hard this year. I'm going to go hard. I never do because I get caught up on everything.
Well, maybe next year is the year.
Well, I'm at this point where I am eliminating the things I don't need to do, eliminating things that cause me stress. That is my goal for 2025. Is
Yeah.
trying to get out. I mean, yes, work is always stressful, whether it's the radio show or whether it's my daytime job. It's always stressful. But my goal is to try and eliminate all stress for next year.
I
Anything
agree.
I pulled, it's kind of like dough. You can have this big round ball of dough, but if you pull it and pull it and pull it, it finally stretches out way too thin. You can't use it. That's where I am right now. I've stretched myself way too thin.
Yeah. I totally feel you on that. I've been kind of doing the exact same thing in my life lately, just trying to figure out ways to make things a little less stressful and easier on me. And I'm totally 100% there with you. So I get it.
So
I'm doing the same thing.
good.
Yeah,
Life's too stressful, man.
it is.
And one thing that nature does is it relieves you of it. Nature's a
Yes,
powerful force if you allow it to be a
absolutely.
positive force.
Yeah. Unfortunately for you guys, you probably get like severely cold out there and hard to do things like deep in the winter, unless you're like hardcore snow people, because I can only imagine it's absolutely freezing where you are.
We're almost there. I
Oof.
mean, it's not so much the snow and the cold because you can always build a fire, but
Yeah.
the area where we go, once the heavy snow starts falling, we won't be able
Yeah.
to get there.
Yeah.
This snowmobile and
That's the issue.
snowmobiler.
When does that normally happen?
Anytime.
Oh,
And
I live in Southern California, and people who don't know, like we get weird weather around here. It's so strange, but I have been constantly getting these like weather reports, and Tim Mothman, he lives like what 10-15 minutes from where I live. I'm sure he's probably getting them too. But we get these weird messages all the time, like either on my phone or Alexa, whatever. And it's like, oh, we're going to be getting this really, really bad weather. And I'm just thinking, like, how bad can it be? Like, what are we going to get? Like, sprinkled out, a little wind. Like, I can't even imagine what you guys get compared to what we get. And I think we're all going to, like, die if it gets up to 14-mile-per-hour winds out here. We get notifications.
Well, I can tell you this, that in about 2 months' time, I'm not going outside.
Ooh,
I am not
that's
going.
harsh. And here I am over here in about literally 2 months. We'll probably still be walking around in shorts and t-shirts and flip-flops. And that's just what it's like living here. It's just a different world. Completely different world. It's crazy. Like almost every single year, like on Thanksgiving or Christmas, that's how we're usually dressed for the day. Matter of fact, my family, we just started this new tradition last year where I drug my entire family to go to the movies and I made them all wear PJs to the movie theater. And we were literally stripping down. We were sweating. We're like, oh my God, I can't take it. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I need to go home, grab a tank top, some shorts. We were dying. You can't take it when it's too warm, and then when it's too cold, it's like, forget it. I can't. I can't with the cold.
What's really nice is when the lakes are frozen and it's, about 5 to 10 below 0 Celsius,
Wow.
and you go out for a skate, play a little bit of hockey, and I
That
can
sounds
tell
fun.
that just the cold air, like the cold, clean air inside your
Hmm.
lungs, It is amazing. It is
Yeah.
amazing.
That's awesome. We actually have an ice skating rink here for probably a couple months. And, obviously it's man-made, but it is kind of fun because, it gives us an opportunity to kind of do some fun things like that. But unfortunately, we're dealing with a lot of fires around here. And I think I just saw Tim post something about the moon is on fire or something. But yeah, it's nasty out here with those
Mm.
nasty, nasty fires going on.
Let's get to some cryptid talk here. What's going
Alrighty.
on in the cryptid world?
Well, I pulled something up I wanted to share with you guys. Okay, so this is today in creepy history. This is from November 7th, 1969. It was at 2 a.m. in Lake Worth, Texas. Engineer Charles Buchanan is sleeping in the bed of his pickup truck parked on the shore of Lake Worth, located in Fort Worth Nature Center and Refuge. He awakens to what he believes is an earthquake, but is actually a creature lifting his vehicle. The beast's long arms and hideous face looms over the side of his truck. It grabs Buchanan's sleeping bag and hoists it up into the air, with him still inside. Then it drops him to the ground. A horrid smell fills the air, which nearly overwhelms Buchanan. In a panic, the man does the only thing he can think of, and he thrusts a sack of his food into his face. From the barbecue chicken dinner he had just had, the creature takes the bag in its mouth and lopes off, easily trampling several large 4-inch thick saplings in its path, then plunges into the lake and swims off toward nearby Greer Island. Buchanan jumps behind the wheel of his truck and flees. Most Lake Worth monster reports are of Goatman, actually, but Buchanan would claim his attack was a 7-foot tall, 800-pound ape man. I thought it was a really cool story.
The old ape man.
Yeah. 1969, the year before I was born.
I hate it when the ape man just comes out and does its thing. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's funny. The reason why I saw this story and I really, really enjoyed it is because I have been talking to a lot of people lately, and I've actually talked about this on your show over the summertime, because it is summer and a lot of people are out camping. I'm hearing stories left and right about how people are seeing, Bigfoot or having some kind of interaction. And I actually heard a very similar story to this, and I think I might have mentioned it on this the show sometime in late summer, where there was another couple who was camping in the back of their truck, and they had a very, very similar situation encounter, almost identical to this one. And I thought that was so strange. So when I read this today, I thought, whoa, this is so weird, because you hear these stories over the summer and it's like, I never even knew this story existed till today. And it was literally almost the exact same area and very, very close to what happened. Just really, really strange.
I don't like strangeness like that. It's eerie. It's eerie. And I say that with
Yeah.
a smile on my face.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Like I've had, you know this about me. I grew up doing Bigfoot stuff, and I've had so many different experiences throughout my life, but most of them are positive. And a lot of people will say like, "Oh my gosh, it must have been a really scary, creepy time for you." But really, honestly, most of my experiences have been enjoyable, fun. You do kind of get that vibe sometimes where you're like, "Woo," kind of creepy and a little bit scary, but nothing to the point of, like I don't ever want to do this again. You know, so I still enjoy it. I'm looking forward to
Unless you're,
going back out.
unless you're at Mount Adams.
Unless you're Mount Adams, and then maybe not there anymore. That's for sure. That's for sure. But I have to say, Northern California, up above Willow Creek area, has always been a really fun uh very, very much like one of my favorite areas to go. It never disappoints, no matter what time of year I go. Now, I don't like to go there in the winter anymore. The last time I went there in winter, I thought I was going to freeze to death. I really don't enjoy the snow, and it was cold, and I was sleeping literally like underneath a tarp, which is not fun, but that's what the person for us to sleep under. And but if anyone's ever looking for somewhere to go and have an experience and really find some amazing evidence, I have never been there where I haven't found something absolutely amazing every single time I go. So it's a lot like how the location you go to, it's like, it's there, you just know. And without a doubt, you're going to have something. If it's a feeling or if it's an experience or both or whatever it is, it's a special place. That's how I feel about this location. I love it. Which I can't wait to go up there and see it sometime.
My locations are like that too. I just love being there. I love whatever happens.
Yeah.
Even when you get that, do you ever get that feeling, as we got about 2.5 minutes to go here? Do you ever get that feeling when all of a sudden it feels like they or whatever is out there wants you to leave?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Find
100%. I've been there many times.
For people who may not understand what that feels like, tell us.
Well, for me, it's almost like the energy around you, the air around you, everything around you starts changing. You literally feel it in your soul, your skin. I get my hair stands up, and it's such an intense feeling. It's like something hit you in your chest. Something, you can feel it in your mind, your emotions, everything about you just changes, and you just know you are not welcome there. Absolutely not wanted to be there. Every single thing about me to my core feels it. And that's how I feel when I know, It's like, you're not welcome, get going.
Is it a matter of it's not welcome or you've worn out your welcome?
Well, for me, I don't like to go to the same place over and over and over. I move around quite a bit, so I've never really had that experience of being in one place too many times. I still like to change the location, but I don't feel like I've ever had the feeling of like, we're done with you. We don't want you to come back. I've never actually felt that before. I have felt the feeling of, okay, you're too close. You're not welcome. Move back. We don't want you to go any further. And that's a feeling that you absolutely feel without someone even telling you. It's like they're telling you in your head, you're not welcome here. Go back. You're done. Turn around and go home. So I know that feeling. And it's intense. It's very intense. It's almost hard to explain in a way. It's so intense.
It's an uncomfortable feeling.
Very uncomfortable feeling. Extremely. Yeah. It's
On that,
almost like you just get this like, and
yes,
you know it.
you just get that feeling. It's time to
Yeah.
go. We got to go to break here. We got to
Okay.
get going. When we return with our good friend Jacques Armone, more cryptid report, more monster talk as we go into the final half.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
We're clear. You got nose goblins. Jackie has nose goblins, everybody.
I have horrible allergies right now. I think it's from the fire. It's killing me. I bet
Good night,
Tim's
Mother
got it
Captain.
too.
That's my 1A sign right there. On A. On A. On A.
I know. I see her on here. I love her. She's my girl.
Merle loves working with her.
She's amazing. She
Yep.
really is amazing.
Yep.
She has a gift like no other I've ever seen, honestly.
On A.
I love you, honey. I know she was on here earlier watching, and she's texting me like, "Where are you? Why aren't you on? I've been waiting for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here, my love. I'm here for you." For those of you on here who don't know, she's my best friend. I love her. And Dave's my best friend.
Felipe Blair. What's happening? I work in the morning too.
Oh, those mornings come quick when you stay up late, don't they?
Every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And unfortunately, my whole family's been sick lately. So now my daughter's got it. So, it's like a vicious, ugly circle of yuck. Ugh. We need a road trip. We need to go have like a fun Vegas trip is what we need.
Planning it.
Yay!
Me and Merle are planning.
Woo-hoo!
We're in the planning phase. Even though there's not going to be a fan party
That's okay.
this year in 2025, Merle and I are going to go to Vegas, and everyone's invited.
Well, Ane is probably going to have to drive to my house, and then we'll go together. She's probably closer to Vegas than she is me, for God's sake. Maybe it'll be the other way around. I don't know.
Yes.
We do all our trips together as much as possible.
I don't know where we're staying. Don't know when we're going. Don't know anything. But Merle and I are going to go to Vegas, and everyone can come. If you want to meet us there.
What you do? Airbnb.
I don't do Airbnbs.
Oh, they're so fun.
I'm snooty that way.
Oh, good Lord.
I am. Because there's
That's
nothing
funny.
worse than going to a casino and then having to leave to go to an Airbnb.
Oh, well, see, I don't even do the gambling stuff. I just like want to hang out with everybody.
I know.
Private pool and spa. Like I like
Mhm.
I know Anya is more like me. Like we like the bougie.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know.
We're bougie girls.
I want to go for a pedicure there.
Oh, we were supposed to do that in Reno. So that is for sure happening.
Yeah.
And
We're all
I
going to line
agree, Fremont hotels are awesome.
Agreed.
Lobby bar for sure. We all have to go to the lobby bar.
Yes. Yes. Whoever wants to come to Vegas and get pedicures with us, just let us know. We'll see you there. No plan, no show, no nothing. We're just partying. And driving out to Area 51.
That's the best way to do it.
And driving out to Area 51.
Again. For me.
We got like 40 seconds. Big thank you to all our super chatters tonight. Steve, Hectic, T-Bone with a hat trick, Richard times 5, Deborah Rooney. Thank you for the love, everybody. Very much appreciate it.
And Jackie is going to stay a single Pringle for the rest of her life. I saw that.
Single Pringle.
I'm a single Pringle.
Me too. We got like
It
12
makes life
seconds.
more fun. I like it.
Mhm.
I like it a lot.
Here we go with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. You are the audience, and together we enjoy the world. Jackie Harmon with the Crypted Report. We'll be back here in just seconds. But first, we want to remind all of you that if you missed most of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go, Jackie Harmon. We call her Jacques Armon around here. How you doing, Jackster?
I'm good. I'm very good.
Kind of monster
Feel
story.
good. Yeah. Well, actually, I wanted to tell you guys something new that I just learned about. West Virginia just launched a 2024 paranormal trail, which I think is really cool. And I'm going to tell you about it. So, the state actually just started this new haunted site right around like Halloween time. It just came out. I'm going to read it to you and I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about it. It's really, really cool. So if anybody has an opportunity to go back there, I highly recommend you do this. So as the Halloween season draws near, which that's about the time it happened, it says West Virginia is embracing its haunted heritage with the launch of the West Virginia Paranormal Trail. This I can't even talk tonight. Spooky tour leads travelers to 14 of the state's most eerie and haunted landmarks, offering a unique way to experience the supernatural side of the mountain state. To make the adventure even more thrilling, I can't even speak. Participants can use a digital paranormal trail passport to check in at each location. You earn points and you unlock exclusive prizes along the way. The growing interest in haunted destinations and paranormal tourism has made West Virginia an ideal spot for those looking to explore haunted history, ghost sightings, and mysterious locations. So let me tell you guys some of the places that are on their list, and I thought it was really cool. So I don't know if I'm saying this right. I think it's Allegheny.
Allegheny.
Allegheny. Okay. I know I'd heard about that, but I haven't been there. So, Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, West Virginia Penitentiary. How do you say that? Penitentiary. Okay. The Lake Shawnee Abandoned Amusement Park. Okay. So now I have actually seen all of these on TV, but I've never actually been to these locations. So I'm actually thinking about maybe taking a tour around and doing these. Mothman Museum, ghost tours of Harper's Ferry, and the historic Glen Ferris Inn. I thought that was really freaking cool that they did that. It's like this brand new app you can do. They have created something really fun for people when they come to their state to get people to actually go out and enjoy these. I thought that was really interesting and very cool of them. Very unique idea. I liked it a lot.
Anything that promotes it. But, you know, the big thing about this that I would say is it's amazing how paranormal tourism has become a hotbed for money making.
Well, you have to understand, though, that is how some people actually do make a living. I mean, I used to feel the same way, but
I'm
I
all
do
for it.
understand. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I feel like if I could afford to go buy like a major haunted location, I would do it in a heartbeat. I would do it in a heartbeat because I know that paranormal community is massive. So many people want to go. And yeah, sometimes they're a little bit outrageous with their prices. I wouldn't do that. I feel like that's a bit unfair. When they jack up prices to make it unaffordable for everybody, that's not fair. But I would do it.
I would love to as well have a um, paranormal hotspot here. Yeah, there's the museum that I
Yeah.
do the tour at, but I'm done with that now. And I think for me, it would be like just being able to have like almost an Airbnb type of home.
Yes. Yes.
That's what
Yes.
I would.
I love it. I absolutely love that idea. As a matter of fact, Ine and I are actually talking about going over and buying a couple places like that in other countries. So we're actually in the talks right now of investing in doing two different like Airbnb style kind of homes in possibly maybe Spain and Italy. So there's something we're in the talks, but probably going to end up doing that.
As you
But we're
should.
definitely looking into that. Yeah, for sure.
As you should.
I would
I mean,
absolutely love to own something here in the US that's haunted. I think that would be absolutely amazing. You don't find a lot here in California, but there are places across the country. I mean, they're all over the place. But in
the
fact, I will
problem.
tell you this. The building that I work in, my sister owns a shop that I actually go and work at a few days a week. And that building is haunted. It's been there since the 1800s. And we actually have a woman who wanders around. We actually have a couple of different people who do ghost tours, and they always stop smack in front of our shop and talk about the woman, the ghost who wanders our building. And they have taken pictures inside our shop where they'll see the woman standing inside the shop. Now, sometimes I'll be at work and strange things will just happen. Like we have an upstairs. Sometimes I'll hear someone walking along, and it always sounds like a real light kind of walk, like a woman would walk, more than like a heavy footstep, like a man. Um, there's like a ledge where like when I'm at the desk working, you can see up, and it always feels like someone's like leaning over and looking at me, and I feel it. It's like a weird, strange feeling, and it doesn't scare me at all. My niece works there as well. It does freak her out quite a bit. But we'll have things just fly off a shelf. I was standing in the about maybe 4 feet away from. We have this little like I don't really know what you call it. I guess like a storage area. And this broom was leaning up against the wall, and it had been there all day long. And I turned around from my desk. I was literally about 4 feet away, and the broom came flying at me, and the end of it hit me in the face right here, probably about a month ago now, and gave me a black eye. And we
That's
have it
it.
on video.
I got asked by a realtor probably 2 months ago. Got a phone call from a realtor about a haunted house.
Mhm.
And she was like, I said, well, what's in there? She goes, I don't know what's in there, but every time we show that place, it's creepy.
Mm.
The issue is with that house is I don't want a property that's in a subdivision.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
So I want to find that house that's kind of has that creepy out in the woods type look.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I want to, be able to build like a UFO landing pad.
That's where I'll come in. All down
just
there.
just be far enough in the woods where
Yeah.
there's a possibility of Sasquatch. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, now you have both. Best of both worlds.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
see if you can, and I think because of the energy I put out, I probably could attract all three.
Yes. I
So,
agree with that. I think that some people just have that energy, and I know for a fact that you have it, I have it, Ane has it. Yeah. So absolutely. They're drawn to us. They
yes.
really are. They are very aware of like who we are and how we feel and how connected we are with the other side. And they really are drawn to us.
But paranormal tourism, you look at Gettysburg, they're doing it now. Alcatraz is doing it. All of these places, it has become
Yeah.
a hotbed for
Mhm.
tourism dollars. And
Mhm.
we can thank television for it. Everybody craps on these TV shows, whether it's Ghost Hunters or
Yeah.
Ghost Adventures or whatever the show may be.
Yeah.
But because of them, the last 20 plus years,
Hmm.
we literally have an entire income to bring in. Like, for instance, I know that if I were to find that house, I
Yeah.
could probably make $3,000 to $5,000 on a weekend.
Oh, easy.
Okay. And
Yeah.
during tourism season.
Oh, absolutely. This is something that you were just talking about that made me think about something. I don't think I've ever actually shared this before, but my absolute very first real investigation, I went to Alcatraz. I was 14 years old. And you guys are very aware, the ones that know me very well, that I grew up in the paranormal with my family. My dad started taking me out at a very, very young age for Bigfoot. And then he started taking me to do investigations like ghost hunting and stuff like that. And so my very first location was Alcatraz at 14. And it was my birthday. So it's a good memory.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And
I've
we
only
actually
seen
took a
Alcatraz.
helicopter over.
I've only seen Alcatraz. I've never been there. I
Oh,
would like to go there.
it's a place to go. If you can get there and see it just once, it's absolutely amazing. It's mind-blowing when you get out on the island and then you realize how like people lived out there. In that prison, that people actually lived way out there. And then the ones that you hear about that like swam off and survived, and it's just like, how? That's just crazy to me. I mean, I guess it's doable, but it just seems crazy. But that place is scary. And I know it was my first time going in there, but you guys have to understand, like, I grew up seeing spirit, so that wasn't like the weirdest thing for me. It was just being in the first location. So it was really super intense for myself and my dad. And we actually ended up we were there for several hours doing this. And when we left, we went back to the hotel, and I'll never forget this. We actually went out to dinner for my birthday, and we were talking about it. And my dad and I decided, because we really didn't talk too much about like everything we saw or felt, and we decided we would go back to the hotel and draw out and write out some things that we experienced and saw. And both of us had the almost identical information word for word. It was so weird. It was almost like just the exact same feeling, the exact same experience. We both saw the same things, we would hear the same things, and a lot of people on the same exact you know, like, well, I don't know if it was like an official um ghost hunting thing for everybody, but like that's how we went on a little bit different tour than they kind of separate you. And but there were other people there that said, I didn't feel anything. I didn't see anything. I didn't have this. I didn't have that. Just complaining like the whole time, like, oh, I was expecting to have all this stuff. And my dad and I were just looking at each other like, well, we're having all kinds of stuff happen. Like, we don't understand why you're not feeling it, seeing it, experiencing the same things that we're feeling. So it was quite interesting, and it really opened my eyes to the fact that when you're very in tune the way we were, how different your experiences really are.
That's very true. Very
Yeah.
true. Keep that intuition rolling on out, but I think with paranormal tourism, I think that there is more to be done. And I know in Canada, we're just starting to get all the big cities over the last few years having ghost walks,
Oh, yeah.
but they don't go usually into any buildings. They just kind of tour around. And that building is where
Yeah.
Mary Ford,
Yeah.
died in 1789
Mhm.
after she caught her husband eating licorice and then using the licorice as a straw for his tea. She was so ashamed of that, she jumped
Oh,
out the window.
yeah. That's true. It's true. It's really how most of the tours go. It really is. Now, in that exact same kind of, tour, we have the exact same thing in our town. But yet, I'm actually considering opening up our building because I have full access to the building. I'm actually thinking about opening it up on weekends to people to come in and do an actual like investigation inside the building where we work at in our actual shop. Um, Everyone in that building, now there's like two buildings and there's multiple buildings across the street in ours, and they're all the original buildings. They have not changed. When you go back and you look at the pictures from like 1890 to say like 1910 or whatever, I think it's 1919 is when like most of the other parts of the town started to grow. And our building was the very first one, and when you go back and you look at those original pictures, it has not changed. The building, the doors, the walls, the windows. I mean, nothing about it has changed. It is it's still identical. It is crazy. It's like, wow, this place is old and it's very haunted. And yes, people in the building do get freaked out at times, but you get used to it after a while. And like for someone like myself that I'm very used to it, it doesn't bother me at all. Matter of fact, I talked to her. I talked to the woman who haunts the building, and I think sometimes I might kind of like make her wonder why I'm so connected because I'm the only one who really opens up like that. And I didn't really understand the situation with the broom, like, that kind of made me think, like, is she angry with me?
Maybe.
But, it's strange because that was the only incident that I'd ever had that it's, like, harming me. Now, when we first moved into the building, I was there one night. My sister, we were getting set up in the shop. My sister was exhausted, and it was like 9 o'clock at night. And I said, you know what? Why don't you go on home? I'm gonna stay here for a couple more hours and work on the shop, and then I'll go home when I get tired. So it was about 11:30 at night. Now the town's like shut down. There's nobody there. It's dark, and I'm in this place just like kind of doing my own thing, not really paying attention. The doors are locked, so I feel fine. And all of a sudden, I'm standing smack in the middle of the shop, and we have this little back room, very small little back room. And it sounded like someone took a glass and just shattered it on the ground. Now, the floor was concrete. Now we have wood floor now, but it was concrete before. And I was like, oh my God, what was that? So I turn around and I just sort of kind of look back there, and I'm expecting to walk back there and see glass. Something fell and it's all over the place. And I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to go clean that up and then I'll probably head out. So I go back there and I look, and there is nothing broken, nothing out of place, nothing on the ground. And it just sounds like someone took a glass and literally just went, psh, like slammed it down as hard as they could. And you could hear it shatter. And that was the one and only time that I ever really heard anything like that loud. And I was just like, okay, all right, I'm gonna go home. I'm just gonna let you have the place and I'm gonna head out. But it still doesn't freak me out, but it does make you realize that, there is someone there. They're still there. And they want your attention sometimes. They want you to know they're there.
They always want you to know they're there.
Yeah.
It's
We know she's there.
we got to go about 2 minutes to go here before we have to say goodnight. Cryptid Report Jackie Harmon is here with us. In the end, do you recommend people taking a haunted bed and breakfast?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I 100% think that if you have the opportunity to own one, own one. If you have the opportunity to go to one, go to one. If you're traveling and you hear about them, go. These are amazing experiences. I mean, you're really not going to hear that many stories of people who were hurt in a horrible way, but they are amazing experiences. So I highly recommend them.
Oh, I highly recommend them too. I totally recommend it. It's always a fun night to be able to talk monsters, isn't it?
Yeah, I love it.
Me too. Me too. It always makes it more fun. Full night of monsters on Spaced Out Radio with Wayne Totherow, Jack A. Harmon. We absolutely love it. And I hope you guys do too, because this is what we love to do each and every night while we're here. Is to scare the daylights out of you with the creatures that will keep you from ever going into the forest looking for wildflowers or deer or cute little bunny rabbits. Doesn't happen on our watch, people, does it, Jackie?
Nope.
That's a powerful answer right there. Nope. Great for radio, Jax. Thanks, buddy. Oh, I'm teasing. Jackie, you have yourself just an amazing night, and we'll talk to you very soon.
Bye, guys. Thanks for having me.
We're going to close this thing out as we say hello to Mr. Ron Football. Rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. What is the official music of Spaced Out Radio? Rocking us in the show. Get your horns up, guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat room this night. YouTube, Twitch, LD, Facebook, Streamer, LinkedIn, Space Traveler, and on X. Appalachian, Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SMR Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us. Because together, my friends,
don't make a mistake. We're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bubblefoot, we need a favor. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. One second, Jackie. There we go. Good night, Jackie. Good night. Honey. 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 Oh, man. Good show.
Love it.
Good freaking show.
Good to be back. Good to be back.
Uh-huh.
Miss everybody.
Oh, they're in the chat room. They're still in the chat room. I'm just being lazy here right now. I don't know why.
I wonder if Tim's affected by this fire like I am. Everything affects me.
Everything affects you. Me too, man.
I am allergic to the flipping world.
I know that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I know that feeling. Anywho, what time do you work tomorrow?
I gotta be there at 8.
Ew. 8.
Mhm. Yeah. It's okay though.
Fun. I'm going to call it the night here too because I am dead tired.
It's a good time to
That's
go to bed when you're dead tired.
Yeah, well, I got to edit the show yet. I do need to edit the show. All right. Jack,
Have a good night.
you hold on for 2 seconds, okay?
I will.
And the rest of you, I want to let you all know that Sweet Robbie G is taking the weekend off. He's doing a little bit of moving, so he will be busy all weekend taking care of some personal stuff. So there will be no shows this weekend. He's hoping to be back the following weekend right after that and get things going on that end, which will be cool and fun and Sweet Robbie delicious, because that's the way he is. And we go from there. Thank you to our super chatters. Richard ×5, Steve, Hectic, T-Bone with a hat trick, Deborah Rooney. My guest on Monday night will be who? Sandy Diva and Jeff Zanzibar on the Mandela effects. Ooh, that's going to be good. I love some good Mandela-ing.
Oh, yeah.
Let's Mandela together. Everybody?
It messes with us, doesn't it?
Yes. We will see you soon, everybody. Good night. Jackie, I'll call you in 2 seconds, okay?
Okay.
Talk to you soon, everybody. Good night.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.